A very good morning, everyone. We're on a tight schedule, so let's start. My name is Jay Ramsanjal. I'm the chairman of the Dynamics Hub, and it's a great pleasure to have you here. I have a warning, however. Accidentally, I got too much coffee today. I needed something to get me kick-started for the morning, but perhaps I'm a little bit jumpy, so forgive me. But then again, that was the bad news. The good news is this is going to be an interactive session. So I will be walking a lot, and I will have the opportunity to ask you questions, but you also have the opportunity to ask our panel questions. Today, we're going to talk about what the impact is of being a pioneer. What are the advantages? What's the benefit? We have invited 4 panelists, subject matter experts, or victims of being a pioneer, perhaps. I'll let you be the judge of that. What we're going to do as follows is I will ask these gentlemen here to introduce themselves briefly, tell them who they are, which company they work for, and what their relation is in terms of being a pioneer with IT trends. Afterwards, we have 9 statements. For these statements, you are able to interact. What you need to do, and what I would like you to do, is have your mobile phone. When we start with the statements after the introduction, you will have the opportunity to enter a URL, and you will get a web page, and on each statement you are able to give your answer or feedback. We have some open questions, very few, and we have some closed questions, just a push of a button. Based on these questions, we will have the interaction. I already briefed these gentlemen to be very brief in their answers. We have 9 statements, and I would like to cover them all. If you have specific questions, don't hesitate. In any case, without further ado, I want to introduce to you Mr. Frank Klebers. Frank, please.
Yes, thank you, Jay. I'm Frank. I'm a CIO for a European lean organization. We're a federation of organizations amongst Europe in the plastics industry. The company is called Think Holding. And we are AX 2012 user. We are using our entire business process within AX 2012 R2. And my biggest pioneering event was actually the implementation of AX 2012, because at that moment we were an early adopter. And that brought us a lot of experiences on how to deal with that. So some of them I'll try to share here today.
Stefan?
Right, okay, good morning. Stefan Lucke. I'm the IT director for Bunzl Continental Europe. We're not a household name, but if you stayed in a hotel, for example, you used our products. So we source and distribute things like, the goodies that you get in the hotel, paper cups, toilet paper, all kinds of disposable products. We also operate in a very decentralized way, and in continental Europe we have about 30 plus companies. Our IT environment, we use AX 2009 actually, which is certainly not pioneering. But in terms of pioneering, we're moving to the cloud now, and we're really doing this by outsourcing the whole IT infrastructure, moving to a hybrid cloud environment. Even that is certainly not, at the forefront of technology, but within Bunzl, that's certainly, a very big step forward. And, also one where we really pioneer in the company the use of these technologies.
Thank you, Stefan. Next is Paul.
Yes, Paul Oswald, IT manager with Priva. Priva is a company which makes climate control systems. One of our customers you may have seen in the keynote just this morning, growing underground in London. Are we pioneering? Absolutely. Since 2012, we said if we want to be a disruptor in our world, we need to pioneer both in our IT internally as in our IT for our customer products. Since 2012, Office 365 in that year already, with all its packages, Dynamics CRM Online, and we now will go live with AX7 in Canada in March of next year. Call that pioneering.
Thank you, Paul. Last but not least, Patrick.
My name is Patrick Gemelig. I'm the IT director at GEA, or GEA as we call it, responsible for the business area solutions, and we've been pioneering with many Microsoft products, starting quite some time back with AX3.0, now moved to 4.0 and AX 2012, but in that we have built a kernel worldwide for over 60 companies. Also been pioneering with Microsoft Link, Office Communicator at the time when we started, and now called, once again, Skype for Business. But also Vista, so we've rolled out Vista as a corporate client to all of our 18,000 clients worldwide, so quite some pioneering done.
Thank you, Patrick. So I will ask you guys to respond also to the statements all together with the audience. Elena, can we please go to our poll tool? I would like you to go to paulev.com/dynamicshub with your mobile phone, and I'll take a brief moment to wait for everyone to enter their answers in the web page. And while you have the opportunity to do so, the first statement is, who are you? And the gentleman here, Frank, you are an AX user. Stefan, AX. Patrick, NAV.
AX.
AX. And Paul.
AX and CRM.
Wow. Michiel, you are Microsoft, but I still see. Otherwise. Yes.
No longer.
Very well. So I think that the majority of our guest attendees today in this session is CRM and AX. Well, we have a good overview of who we have in the audience. Everyone ready? Apparently. Thank you, Elena. Very well. These are some baseline questions just to get an overview. What we also will do is, after the session, if we have the opportunity to scan your badge, we will send you the results. We will also post the results on our Twitter feeds and social media. I think Stefan and Frank and also Patrick, you have a lot of peers in the audience, company-wise. Almost half of the audience have 2,500 plus employees. And, well, 5% they don't know how many people work in their organization. So I'm not sure whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I can imagine if you have 2,500 plus employees, you are most likely to operate internationally. Yes, please. Let's start with the first statement. Microsoft's marketing strategy is driving our IT. I have the opportunity to talk a lot to a lot of customers, and in these discussions, we sometimes find that the marketing machine, be it Microsoft or another IT vendor, most of the time it's impeccable, it's fantastic. On the other hand, how much does the marketing of an IT vendor influence the process? 44% is in the driver's seat. That's not the statistics that I have when I talked individually to you guys. I just spoke to a CIO of a large corporation, and he said, my CMO is going crazy about implementing Microsoft Dynamics CRM. And I said, but what are you going to do with it? What's the functionality? And he didn't know. He saw some great videos, and he heard some great reference cases. But then again, based on what you are telling us, is that 41% is really in the driver's seat. Paul.
Yeah. I think I agree with the majority. Yes, of course, when moving to the cloud or when adopting new technology, you will face what the producer brings you. But that doesn't mean you have to choose that. We chose as a company for Microsoft, especially for its interaction between the different programs. But what we want to use is definitely our choice. And actually, we are so much in the driver's seat as a pioneering of especially our own products that we can't have Microsoft move fast enough. To be honest, for us, it could still go faster, and we will take the best options of their choices. I mean, they have, if I look at Azure, we create apps for our consumers. It's funny, I told a Microsoft guy the other day, do you know in the cloud, in the Azure cloud, it starts happening that already parts of the Azure cloud are legacy in half a year's time. Now IoT Hub is introduced, which is a replacement or can be a replacement of server IoT services. And those kind of things of pioneering leave you in the driver's seat. It's definitely not marketing, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you very much. A couple of people have stated yes. Please raise your hand.
That's not anonymous.
I have a question for you. Please elaborate. Who are you? Which company? Well, in this case, perhaps just tell me who you are and elaborate on your answer, please.
Okay, sure. Basically, I'm following, we are a partner for Microsoft. So I'm not a customer, I'm a partner. And basically, we put our marketing, we follow the strategy of Microsoft Big Deal. So for this, we're abiding Big Deal with marketing strategy of Microsoft. Basically, they're having like the big vision, the roadmap, and then we implement as partners what we both agree on, but for a big extent, it's based on their strategy.
Thank you. Very clear. Who has chosen for C? I already told it's going to be an interactive discussion, and I have my coffee, so I'll have a lot of energy. Who are you, and why did you choose for the answer?
I'm Martin from the company Pet Power. We make plastic bottles from PET plastics. And yeah, I chose the answer because it certainly wasn't A, because we are not blindly following Microsoft in its steps. I feel that Microsoft is always, on the one hand, is always giving a perspective, but we're always a few years behind. But then again, they are not, in my view, really innovative in a way that they are boundary breaking in technology. The things I've seen, like Skype for Business, is functionality that's there already. And so we in practice, we, for example, just to give a small example, we didn't choose Link, the previous version of Skype for Business. We went for the Citrix GoToMeeting software to do exactly the same. And all the things I've seen were possible there as well. So it's just an example, but that is where we choose another platform that is not Microsoft, whereas most of what we use is Microsoft. So, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Stefan, you want to respond, please?
Yeah, Jay, just to add one thing. I mean, you know, it is, of course, not all innovation. But in real life, you know, well, there is a whole lot of legacy that we're dealing with day to day. So, you know, while the marketing material is then always very focused on, you know, the brand new world and, you know, all the possibilities there, our challenges are mostly, you know, how to integrate that with the existing world. And that's, of course, where it gets a lot more difficult.
Thank you, Stefan. So, this is a feisty one, and we did put on the statement on purpose. It's not as black and white as it seems on the screen, and your answers and the reactions of the audience, they stay the same. Elena? I'm going to read it out. If you ever were a pioneer or an early adopter in any IT development trend, indicate which one. Except for Paul, who said AX7. Michiel, are you taking pictures? Very valuable information. Yes. Patrick, would you please elaborate on your answer? What did you enter and
Pioneering, like I said in my introduction statement, was AX, obviously. Link at the time, we chose Link. And also Vista, let's say the corporate client for us. But if I focus on AX, and also my counterpart here said this, in the development of Microsoft cannot go as fast as they would like it. For us, it's the other way around. It's also what Stefan already mentioned. It is in a company which is more traditional, which is growing rapidly by acquisitions. So you acquire all kind of different platforms that you have to integrate. You cannot keep up with the speed that a company like Microsoft forces from you. I just also mentioned that we're now basically moving our kernel to AX2012, and yesterday we saw the introduction of AX7 and say, well, maybe we should stop it and move to 7 instead. But for us it takes years to move all those companies to the new platform.
And what you also stated, also in our briefing, Patrick, is that it's also the business case that actually drives being a pioneer.
Yeah.
Not always, but in some cases, and for you that was the case. I see that CRM is a large, fills a large part of the screen. Who chose CRM? I have a lot of energy today. Sir, who are you? Which company and why did you choose for CRM?
I chose CRM because I'm a CRM consultant. So it's the thing that is closest to my heart or to what I'm working with. But I think if a lot of companies, when you're starting with a company, because the question was if you would start with something, I would start with being strategic in the market. And I think CRM does that for you.
Thank you very much. Elena? This is a nice one. Being a pioneer is doomed without top-level management support. Frank.
Yes.
What do you think?
Well,
is
of
it
course,
really doomed?
No, I mean,
or
if you look to the feedback from the audience, I think it is quite clear. If you want to be a pioneer, the days that the IT department is isolating themselves in the organization saying, well, we are going to push the solution forward, And then you get into a situation where everybody is questioning, why are we using that solution? Well, the IT manager told us to. I mean, you don't want to be in that position. So I think alignment with the management in the organization is crucial, certainly if you want to be a pioneer. The interesting thing that I saw in the discussions is that some companies in our panel are really driven on the innovation and on the pioneering, and some companies in the panel are, let's say, more legacy bound due to acquisitions and things like that. And it's the same thing that we have as well. So personally, I have some difficulties with the speed of things, where it's interesting that Paul says it can't go fast enough. Mm-hmm. So I mean that's a crucial, let's say, a difference, where some companies are on one side, some companies are on the other ones.
And these developments, Frank, what is the impact on getting true stakeholder or top-level management support?
Well, you know, if these things are going so fast, I mean, the top management knows that there's a world outside that's changing very fast. But their alignment with these changes and the things that are going on outside, that's more difficult. So to keep them tuned in to the things that are really important, you don't want to go up there every week and say, oh, I have something new. We really have to follow it. So, I mean, you have to pick your choices. And in our culture, in our organization, we work based on, let's say, business cases, feasibility studies. So we really do a 10-year or 5-year study on what the effort would be that a solution would bring to our organization. And it's not something that you do for every, let's say, new technology or hype. So
I understand, Frank.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Paul, you are ambassador of adopting, amongst others, cloud, and you seem, and I think you really are, a happy camper. How do you get the top-level support? Is that because you do have the support,
yes,
you are a happy camper, or do you need to convince them and help them understand?
Actually, in the beginning, it was part convincing. In 2012, when we started with a business alignment. We first started to bring business and IT together before we started the movement. We first needed top-level management to get on board to make sure that we made the right choices for the business as IT. And actually now, IT and business work so closely together, and we have a CEO, which is Manny Prince, which is a very fantastic woman, talking about sustainability, talking about why we need to change the world in the field where we work. And that drives, that top-level management drives the enthusiasm of others in the company again to innovate and renew. And if you see customers creating new businesses with our products, then that is just great. That is a drive in itself.
Thank you, Paul. I have a question for Michiel. And Michiel, from a Microsoft perspective, I can imagine that Microsoft also has a role in helping the panelists, the CIOs, in getting top-level support. What is your strategy, and how does Microsoft help getting the support?
That's a big question. Good day, everybody. My name is Michiel. I work with Microsoft for the Netherlands especially. If I look at your question, what we are doing is building relationships also towards the BDM, business decision makers, as we call them. We used to engage a lot just with the IT and the IT departments in the past. So our commitment is to really engage and build up the relationships with the business decision makers. So we're taking that approach, changing also our messaging and our way we go about with marketing, and also try, for example, this event, you really see that we are now engaging in two kinds of ways. One is more the technical part, but we're also really trying to engage with the business leaders. So that's the way we try to connect the worlds.
Thank you, Michiel. I think I have some problems with the sound. Or is it just my ears? Or the caffeine is getting to me? As Michiel stated, it's also something that we see from a user community perspective, that Microsoft is trying and pushing towards the BDM level in creating content, organizing events, side events, in truly engaging the whole organization. And I think it's a necessity, and especially 88% says so. I'm really curious about who said C. Don't be shy, don't be shy. We're amongst friends here. Okay. Oh, ha. Sir, who are you? And explain, please, elaborate.
My name is Martin. I'm a consultant, and I see that many of our clients make, let's say, very long-term strategic decisions, and I think that the CEOs don't really know what it's about. So we talk to CIOs, and they understand maybe, but somehow the CEO just says, okay, well, I guess we need that, so that's it. So I'm not really sure we need their support always.
Thank you very much. And I think, Michiel, it is spot on. That's why Microsoft also chose to move towards that level also, and to make sure that top level understands the impact of new technology. Elena, let's move to the other statement, please. To be a market leader, it is necessary to proactively adopt new technology. So, if you don't adopt new technology, you're doomed. You cannot be a market leader. I'll rephrase it. So, if you're a market leader, you are using new technologies. Didier. Do we have Didier in the audience? Okay, I will send him an email because he promised to be at this session. What happens is that in this statement, we have the majority who says, yes, you need to have new technology, otherwise you can't be a market leader. On the other hand, especially in discussion what we had yesterday, and Stefan, you are also part of the audience, is it's not always the new technology, but in some cases it's creating hybrid technology solutions. What was your answer, and what are your views on this statement, Stefan?
Right. Well, I truly believe, that, well, the answer is A. And, to be a market leader, also to remain a market leader, we are at a turning point right now, clearly, where, cloud and, digital commerce, all these new possibilities that we have now are changing our world so quickly and so fundamentally that even very traditional businesses, I'm personally convinced, will probably not survive if they don't really take advantage of what's out there these days. So certainly in our world, we're seeing this change going on, although the industry that we operate on in many areas, is still very traditional, is very risk averse, is very, looking at things as in like, why do we have to do that? But at the same time, if you look at the change that's happening around us, honestly, I think there's only two options. I mean, either you really take advantage of it or you get lost. And in order to take advantage of it, you have to actually onboard these new technologies. The interesting question, tying back in a little bit to the last question, is how do you do it? And how do you also convince then the management to really, take it on board and actually, go, let us run with it. And I think one of the keys there is to maybe identify, certain kind of light tower projects, some quick wins, some things that really, make it very visible with little effort, how much is possible, and then identify these use cases based on those, then, generate almost a showcase. That's certainly an area where, for example, the vendors like Microsoft can help us tremendously convince the management, build these showcases, and based on that then, lead the way and really changing the way we operate.
Thank you, Stefan. So actually also a two-step tango in the sense of creating a fundament in setting up a lighthouse or a pilot And by having these small successes, you can create more top-level support. Patrick, I know within your organization, well, you also move towards acquisitions. Sometimes you inherit also legacy. Do you exactly feel the same as what Stefan has stated, or could you please have some elaboration on your views?
I basically represent, say, a traditional business, engineering company, business to business, a lot of food related. We do actually also answer yes to this question. Definitely we cannot do and take the next level, the next step to the future without technology and without innovation. I mean, we have been 60 to 70% of our footprint is already food related, food hygiene related. So we already have years of experience in monitoring the quality of the product. But now, only a few years back, we started realizing why don't we use all these sensors that we do now, Internet of Things, also to make sure that we can predict the maintenance of our machines and guard their operating conditions. So we're also adapting to that, but rather slowly. And adapting to change is not so much that I'm talking about a traditional company which is old-fashioned or maybe fast follow on some things, but it's very much depending on where you are today. So if you already have an installed base, it's, let's say, not so easy to adapt and, let's say, change the wheel of a moving tire, or change the tire of a moving car. But on the other hand, so if you are stepping to a new area where you have nothing, then it's easier to adapt to new technology. So it's depending on the topic, where you can go faster into, say, new technology, but in the end, it's key for our existence in the future.
Thank you, Patrick. And I think that that's a statement and an answer I get a lot is, well, if you have a greenfield operation, it's much easier to adopt the new technology instead of having a lot of legacy systems you have to cope with. And of course, our ambassador.
Yes, I do agree with you. And on the other hand, I mean, let's not forget, Priva also has 60,000 projects all around the world which currently already exist, both in the building automation and in greenhouses all over the world, which we do take care of very well, but also they demand new things in their business, and if we don't provide that, our customers will lag behind. So it is absolutely a necessity that we bring our customers one step further as well, and that is through new technology, and that is also for our existing customer base, which is worldwide and large as well. So it's not only greenfield which does innovation, it has to be current business as well, absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Frank, did you also choose yes or another answer?
I normally don't.
I can guess it.
No, I would choose for B.
I thought so. Please explain to the audience what your views are and also within your own organization.
Well, I mean, I think, and it has been said, I think, already by the panel, it depends a little bit on the industry that you're in, the kind of customers that you have, and the kind of organization that you are. We are a traditional organization. We are extremely successful, but we are not extremely successful because we use the newest technology. It's because we serve our customers well, and that the service is good, and that they get their products fast. And if we can do that with a traditional solution, or even at this stage, 2012, you can decide yourself how traditional that is. So, I mean, of course we follow the trends, and of course we look to what's happening outside. I think, and I haven't heard that yet, I think the whole consumerization of the world outside is the biggest fire underneath these things and the changes in behavior. And some companies are more driven by this consumerization of things. Their customers are very adaptive to new trends and new technologies, and that's when you have to adjust to that. In our case, it's not so. So that's why we can still be successful without being the first. And well, it can also be that you have a certain experience by being first, that you don't want to be first in the future anymore. I mean, early adopting new solutions can also be a threat for your continuity of your business.
We have some statements about the impact of being a new or a pioneer or early adopter. So actually, what you guys are saying is yes, but yes is the answer, but also it's contextual. It's based on the situation of your own organization, the market needs and what the business really wants. Elena? A pioneer has to learn to deal with the lack of information, support, and expertise on new technology. Bottom line, deal with it. Wow. Well, 110%. Harry. Harry is a colleague of Patrick. Harry is also from Gaia. You chose yes. I know. Please give us small elaboration on what you encounter when. Oh, but I'm still with you. Then I'll go to the person with B.
This was Michiel pushing a button.
This is a very important one, especially when you adopt new technology. It's also key that you have access to the right information, but you not always get the right information. In your own organization, do you always have the right information available? Do you know your path already? Or do you need some certain guidelines and help and support in really getting the information to be successful?
I think there's two sides to it. It is the internal and the external. Internally, if you're starting with things, you have to find your way. A lot of things I think as an IT organization, you know where to go. But, and that comes back to support of the management. You have to find your way in that. But if you look externally, it's more difficult because talking about a solution, either it's Microsoft or someone else, it's not the only thing you use. And to get it all connected, there you have to find. That's where you have to go out. That's not always easy.
Jay, if I'm able to say something.
Of course. I would go to Michiel in a while so he can prepare and he already knows what I'm going to ask. And then I'll go to someone who said B. Frank.
I mean, it's actually quite concerning that this is such a high value. And if I look back to when we implemented AX 2012 and being an early adopter, I think that specific thing of being there and seeing that a solution is being pushed to the market for several reasons, that partners don't have the information, partners use the customer to learn, the information level that is available currently about the solutions is really great. But I think the change that has to be made is that this information is there when a product is being launched. So it's not only the sales pitch of launching a product, it's actually bringing a complete set of information that you have a better first implementation group of customers instead of getting the better ones after 1 or 2 years. I think that's really a challenge where the partners and where the solution providers have to focus on. So less speed, more quality, stays my statement. Yeah.
Thank you, Frank. And I think we as a user community also have a role in this, all together with the partners, with Microsoft and the users, to provide a base for the information. From the customers, and that's why we have these sessions, we get the right input. What do you need? Why do you need it? In what format? Stefan, do you want to respond, or is it...
No, I just wanted to add that actually there are also situations when you do, really adopt something early, where you do get excellent support. So, I mean, just as an example, we're doing some of the machine learning here, coupled with our web shop, the Microsoft offering there on Azure. And, well, there was great support, really, in getting it started, very informal, very goal-oriented. So that's also very useful.
Yep. Is there someone in the audience who says, well, I'm really in need of getting certain information, but I find it very difficult to have access to, and I would like to have a different alternative or a solution to acquire the information? Michiel, did you said B? Was it your answer?
No, actually not. I've gone for A. Yeah, I think it's what was already said. It's two things. The one thing is the technology and also the business part coming together. So there always will be lacks of information. On the other hand, to respond to Frank and also on Stefan, we are changing that perspective, creating different programs to take customers on board while we're building the software. So we are aware of it and trying to make that information gap as compact as possible. But of course, being on the frontier means always that there will always be situations. But in dealing it together, I think that's the new way we want to move forward. And the complexity always comes. It's not only the technology, but it's also the business, the amount of data, the background you have in your own organization, and the legacy that makes it complex. So you have to be prepared there. But we really want to bring that and work on that together as a company.
Thank you. Who chose for answer B? Hi. Who are you and why? Because apparently there is not a lack, so you have the solution.
I'm a partner from Microsoft. And, well, the reason why I answered B is because I believe that when customers want to be a pioneer, you shouldn't see them as customers. You should see them as partners. And that's exactly what Michiel has said, is we are moving towards. You have to work together, but that also means you have to be much more transparent in the things that you're doing, giving much more information, knowing very well that they may be there, but maybe not 100% qualified to already provide to customers. But as they are pioneers, I don't believe that they are customers anymore. So that's why it's for me B.
Thank you very much. Elena, next sentence, please. As a pioneer, you will only succeed if you achieve user adoption. Patrick.
I think it's definitely true, but it also counts for things that are not pioneering. If you want to implement the system, we always say the person can make or break the system. The system is not ever, let's say, foolproof. So really user adoption make a difference. So we want to bring, of course, solutions and benefit to our users that they can do their processes in an easier way, in a better way, but only if they adopt and truly adopt to that solution and see the power of it, then it can be a success.
Mm-hmm. It's obviously it's obvious answer to a question. Who answered D? Oh, he doesn't just know. I don't think it's necessarily the case of a pioneer. I think user adoption is a topic that is very hot at this moment. Also, companies who say, I'm implementing and getting the most out of my Dynamics investment, I need user adoption and make sure that my users get the most out of the product. Paul, as also an early adopter, how does this impact your organization? Because I can imagine that it's not always easy to achieve a high level of user adoption.
Correct.
With new technology.
What I see in my IT team is that actually the IT members themselves have to change. They have to become far more consultants or people who go to the users than to implement only a system and say, okay, this is a project, I finish it, and let's go to the next one. It is actually consultancy as IT or project management as IT and IT as project management. The great thing is that if you move to cloud solutions, for example, it makes it easier. My system engineers were busy with running Exchange servers and maintaining them for a very long time. They don't need to do that anymore. That means they have time free to go to our own customers, listen to them and help them. So it is an advantage as well of being an early adopter, because in our case, it saved us time to bring our attention to the customer. And then user adoption becomes easier because you work closer together.
Thank you, Paul. Stefan, how does that work in your own organization with regard to implementing new technologies, or, for example, doing an acquisition and having to deal with two different user sets?
Well, there's basically two different speeds, you could almost say, because on the central level, we're certainly trying to, again, take advantage of these trends, really, move to the cloud with exactly the same goals. So, free up the resources to actually be much more customer focused and identify the right solutions rather than keeping, the lights on the Exchange server. But the companies we acquire are usually, smaller companies, very traditional, and they really come from such a world. So yes, it's, to some extent a contradiction, but then again, our goal certainly is also to enable them, help them, empower them. That's why we need flexible, scalable solutions. That's why, again, why we're moving to the cloud, to get all this, flexibility and scalability. So ultimately, for us, it's very much about, combining these two worlds. And, with a clear vision anyways, implementing the new scenario, which is taking advantage of the new technologies.
Thank you. Michiel, I can imagine that as user adoption is a hot topic, that Microsoft gets addressed a lot from the user or the partner perspective in how to really engage with the customer and create user adoption. So on the one hand, you just told us you are engaging to a higher extent on BDM level, but then again, what is it that you have or perhaps are developing to create a better user adoption by frameworks or best practices or otherwise? How can other users learn from each other with the help of the knowledge that Microsoft already has?
That's a big question. There are a few answers to it. One is really in building the software. So you see that we're going towards gamification of the usage of the software. So we recently brought in a company that we are going to start using in our technology, but that's not my specialty. But that's one side. The other side is in the fact that we have a lot of best practices out there, and also our consulting, but also our partners who have a lot of knowledge of how to bring that together. And the third part is, of course, the user groups, like we have in the Netherlands, on which we really try to help, and also on the user part, get the information across how to use it better. Because I'm definitely, in this statement, it's definitely true. You need to have the adoption. I yesterday spoke to a big Dutch telco. They recently rolled out 1,200 seats of CRM online, and they really said, for us it's key and it's crucial that the adoption is there. So their focus was really on not only the technical implementation, but really the way they use it and you start using it within your organization. So for us it's key, and we're working on different fronts to get that done.
Thank you, Michiel. And not only for user adoption, but also for facing challenges that you have as a customer in implementing new technology. What we are going to do as a user community, not only in the Netherlands, but also in the EMEA region, is to build a platform, a digital platform where you are able to share your experiences, your better practices or best practices. And together with Microsoft, we'll make sure that the knowledge that they have, not only in the specific countries, but also from the development and R&D team in the US, we are able to improve those models. Because I truly think it's an open door, definitely, but no one has a clear, defined answer. And there isn't a clear, defined answer. It's based on the contextuality of the technology, your business, the organization, etc. Paul, how do you create a best practice and make sure that it's also available towards others? Because you have a rapid development in implementing new technology,
Yeah.
but I can imagine that you also have some sort of a blueprint, that you know these are the major steps I have to take each time. It's based on your organization, but
Yeah.
perhaps we can extract the best metrics and KPIs and share it into the crowd.
That would be great. To be honest, I think the part of being a pioneer is inventing all the time and reinventing all the time. So if I would have a blueprint, to be honest, in many cases I would have to rewrite it every time. I do have a very strong strategy together with the business. A step forward where we know in 3 years' time we want to go and we need to go that way. But we need to be able to deviate from that as well as developments proceed. But we do create our own user community, for example. We have Yammer introduced 1.5 years ago, and with Yammer, the user adoption of Yammer went fantastically well within our company, and we had a free subscription of, if you wanted to participate, we have 500 users and 480 became members of the Yammer community within a year. That was truly fast, where 300 are active every month. They teach themselves. They help each other in the challenges we face. And you can't do it on your own anymore. You can't only do the blueprint. You have to bring somewhere people, products, Microsoft user communities together. And we do that in our own platform. That helped us very much.
Thank you very much, Paul. And I'm sure we'll talk afterwards in seeing where we can extract which information to share with the community.
Sure.
Elena, we still have time, so why is the screen blank? We did have one statement, right? Let's move to the other one. I'll be honest, this tool is new technology for us as well. I found out 4 days ago. It's it? Okay. Are there specific questions from the crowd and audience that you would like to address, or you would like us, from a user perspective, to have a follow-up on? We can gather certain questions and we will process it into the community and give it back to you. Are there specific questions? Okay. What we will do when you leave, we will scan the badge and we will notify you through a survey how you can get certain information from this session. But please also state your questions and your challenges you are facing. What we will do over the course of the next 2 months is gather the information together and give it back to you. How we do it is as follows. On the one hand, we have this digital platform. On the other hand, we organize roundtables. On BDM level, we organize executive sessions in creating a better awareness of what new technology can bring. On IT level or on application management level, we also organize roundtables in bringing people together, how they can cope with the challenges they're facing across user adoption or working together with both business and IT. In any case, when we do and host those sessions, we gather the information, we let it process through an independent business consultant, and by means of a report, we will give it back to the community. So those are our ambitions from a user perspective for 2016. And once again, please share your information with us, and we are here as an independent organization to help you as a customer. I have a final remark for each of the panelists if you want to share your last thoughts with us. Paul?
My last thoughts. No, I'm not going to share my last thoughts. But
final thoughts.
But no, Well, one simple thing is, if you have individual questions, I will be available here. So please, if you don't feel free to speak in a larger audience, come to me to ask some questions. Yes, I actually am indeed a cloud adopter. I am a speaker for new innovation. I believe every company should move to that direction, faster or slower, but move and make steps. And what I really want to tell is those steps are possible. Small steps, one step at a time, but you will become a pioneer in your own right if you do it step by step. For us, it took us 3 years. Maybe that's a short time for larger companies, too short time for larger companies. But every company, as long as you move forward, you will be a pioneer in your own field.
Thank you, Paul. Patrick, same question for you.
Pioneering comes at a cost, but I think the cost outweighs normally the gain. And not every thing that you pioneer start with will succeed, but you need to keep on going. And usually, basically, what you get in return is not only money, but also user adoption, people really feeling proud of what they're doing, and binding your community together, your own employees and your customers.
Thank
so
you.
it's worth the trip.
Stefan?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic and very exciting time to be in IT. You know, the world is changing so fast at this stage that well, the opportunities are really tremendous. And yes, Skype for Business is maybe not the highlight of all those.
Thank you. Frank?
Well, my closing statement would be that, of course, there's a lot of things happening outside, which is good. Focus on your own organization. Look where you're strong. Look where you need innovation and where you don't. If you're innovating on a major platform and a major ERP system, it's something else than innovating on a smaller solution or on Skype for Business or whatever. So look very closely to what you're doing, and that you make sure that you keep the alignment inside your organization, because in the end, it's also nice if we as IT people can survive in our organizations. So, thank you.
Thank you, Frank. And once again, please do share your questions with us. I know these gentlemen are not always around, but we can make sure that we get you into contact with Paul, Patrick, Stefan, and Frank. And what we also can do is perhaps organize in your own country small meetings where you can share your information and questions with like-minded people in your own language and in the safety of your own organization. I want to thank you, everyone, for attending this session. Panelists, thank you very much for the time, because we had a lot of time in briefing you guys and Microsoft. It's good to see, Michiel, that users are putting tremendous effort outside of their busy schedules in helping the community. And we can only get bigger and better if we keep sharing. So you will get the most out of your Microsoft Dynamics software. Thank you very much, and have a great afternoon.